technology or something happening in a local region, when you have something that happens, you kind of get a community that's created from that. I think that just from all these AI things coming out, or like the Web3 things coming out, just these new technologies, there's these new and vibrant communities coming from them. Like in my case, I would have never made art. I'm not really artsy, but I love looking at cool looking things. And so when I found out that I was able to do that, I was able to join this community that I never would have before. And now I can kind of call myself an artist. I'm just using a different kind of tool.
Yeah, I think that's perfect, Malachi. Also, tying into that, it's like it's interesting how we're creating so much independently, and we're being able to share that in a way that the community building is becoming we're calling it culture now.
Yeah.
It's, and that's a word that's kind of, I don't know, when I think about that word, I go, oh, okay, I like it.
Culture actually has a lot of meanings.
It does. And people have connotated to be either bad or good, through time, because it's like, it can be like extreme, or, where are you going, or very isolated, or, this is us and our side and you're over there. And so, but as far as with our community, I see it being built, like take, for instance, churches, like the Calvary Chapel in Capitola that goes down to where you are, Ian, in the Esplanade every few weeks or every couple of weeks.
Once a month they go pick up trash.
And not only that, they do like an after church thing where they're just down.
They do baptisms. They do
witness
worship stuff.
Yeah. And I was hearing in the church just yesterday that it's interesting how when they're doing something down there, how many people actually, as they're coming down the hill, actually kind of stop and look. They don't necessarily engage, but they're actually intrigued, and then people do go down and talk to them, what's going on. And that's the community of the philanthropy part in there. I think that just being part of Jesus's family down there on the beach is the philanthropy. You get out of it, but the community part is there,
right?
And it's awesome to see it move like that.
Look, if you look at examples of where technology and community have kind of impacted each other, I would say the most recent one is what we're experiencing right now. This whole, we're on the radio, but we're also live streaming on StreamYard.
Yeah.
And really, it was the faith community that built that. Life Church was like way, way ahead of the curve, figuring out how to do live streams the right way because they wanted to minister to and connect with their faith community. Then, COVID came, and that was just, the technology empowered the faith communities to stay connected even when it was difficult to meet in person. That was probably one of the most dramatic recent convergences of faith and technology.
No doubt.
What do you think, Nigel? Jump in.
I think there's been a couple of different ways this has impacted community. It's brought us closer together by the technology itself. Ergo, this conversation we're having now, me being in Florida and you being in the studio. But it's also gamified it in both helpful and perhaps not so helpful ways. I think having a badge and being proud of your community, like wearing a team jersey or something like that, is awesome. But if it's only for the sake of wearing the jersey, it's a fair weather friend kind of thing, not so much. So I was having a conversation with Daddy earlier this morning, and we were talking about just reaching out to people when we think about them. Just saying hi, not for anything in particular other than just doing that. That to me feels like I belong. This is my community. This is my people. Likes and shares and how many people are following me that you wouldn't invite to your house. Not so much. So there's the dichotomy.
For sure. Also just here for us locally, if you notice the past 5 years, maybe even longer, the West Cliff and the East Cliff rebuild has just done amazing work and has really been able to build coastal walkways from, especially on the West Cliff. Ian, you and I one-wheeled over there.
They just opened it up
So beautiful there.
this weekend.
It's an
They finished that?
amazing piece that they've actually built. It's not just public works and infrastructure. It's literally artistic.
Mm-hmm.
The way they have so much that you can use on a walkway and a pathway. They've got it sectioned off for walking pedestrians, for bicyclists, for people that may be one-wheeling or skating. I don't think the skateboard thing is really super big yet, like they're letting it come back around. But they do have a 50-year vision on the West Cliff. And then the East Cliff has also done the same type of thing where they've been able to widen that whole walkway to where it's a path that's actually been paved.
Mm-hmm.
And with asphalt, and then they have the dirt areas. So you have people walking their dogs, you have people riding their bicycle. It's a one-way street now, to where problems with citizens and vehicles and stuff being so close together, the odds of things happening are far less because things are very slow. The stop signs are there, and it travels one way. So it's been built for the community, not for driving and for cars. It's now there to everyone to go gather, and you see it anytime you go down either one of them. You see the locals that are actually, I'd say it's 50-50. Half of them are walking, and the other half of people are standing there in small groups.
Right.
So just the visual of that is very obvious, and it lets us know that there's a vision to a community, and especially a beach community that they're actually building, which is awesome.
The front of the Good Times paper this week was the Civic Auditorium. And if you crack that open and look at that article, what it is it's saying, we've kind of forgotten the importance of the Civic, where Bob Dylan, Bob Marley, Tom Petty.
Again, what was the name of it again? It's the what auditorium?
The Civic.
Again, community.
So, that's been serving our community for 80 years. Seat capacity is 2,000 to maybe 2,400, depending on how you structure it. It's falling apart. The sound system is not up to par. The lighting's not up to par. The ticketing system doesn't work quite right. So it needs a minimum of a $1.2 million investment. I'm reading the article and I'm thinking to myself, gosh, how much money have we put into libraries? How much money did we put into libraries in this town? Now, I'm not taking
those were federal funds that they were able to get across, and they had to do that and take it like that time by the end of 2022, I think.
Right.
It was.
If they don't spend it, they don't get it.
Right.
I understand.
Right. So they all got in on it, and we got all new libraries.
We have a library next door to here. This building was built in 1947. Right next door,
they all got rebuilt.
Is the library. Now, I'm all for libraries. And libraries are great places for communities. And obviously, libraries function off of philanthropy. People and businesses donate books and allow libraries to function the way that they do in today's modern society. So I'm not taking anything away from that. But there's other projects that also are getting major funding. We're talking about spending hundreds of millions of dollars on a rail trail or a rail. We're talking about the East Cliff. I think the bill was $20 million to build East Cliff. I'm imagining that there's
Capitola Wharf that got rebuilt.
That's right.
The Sea Cliff Wharf that did not get rebuilt.
Brutal.
I know.
So
I live right there at the cement ship, and it is
my heart hurts.
Every time I one wheel down there, the Rio Del Mar down there, I just see that boat.
That wharf so much.
The water seems to be rising at the ship.
The boat
level.
seems to be sinking.
Yeah.
So to the Civic, you look at all these different projects that have had significant funding, and then you look at the Civic basically being passed over. And one of the things that is a concern right now is the Warrior Stadium is probably going to build a permanent location now. And it's going to
the Santa Cruz Warriors.
The Santa Cruz Warriors. And it's going to seat probably 4,000 people.
Did you see the building that they were proposing?
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
It's awesome.
Right.
It's not the soft top or they
it's the real deal.
Yeah, it's a
Where's it going to be?
Right there near downtown.
Same spot.
Off Pacific, yeah. They're going to use that.
That's a temporary setup. So if they build a 4,000 seat stadium for the Warriors,
is it going to be in the exact same spot? Are they going to tear down that current one and build there or nearby?
I think they are able to buy the property that's adjacent to it, which is where the wheel works or something
Maybe.
else was there. So they get to use
Like right across the street.
Yeah. And then it's backed up against the San Lorenzo River there. So it's really, that's a perfect place for them to do that.
It's a wonderful
It's a great spot.
location.
It is. I don't see where they'd be able to do something, have the venue be somewhere else and have it be so accessible to the community.
Yeah, and my understanding last time is they were going to keep that venue, and it might even become like a practice gym. But I don't know. I might be mistaken. But I thought that was going to continue until the other one opens.
Let's say they do build a stadium for 4,000 people here in Santa Cruz. What does that mean for the Civic? And this is the reason I brought this up is, we're talking about community and philanthropy. How many things have brought the community of Santa Cruz together the way the Civic has the last 80 years? How much philanthropy was, spurred on because of that gathering place? How many political uprisings? How many times did the people stand up against power in using that civic auditorium over the last 80 years? And so I was just thinking about like the importance of this as a community tool, the potential of it being basically looked over and not really considered moving forward. And, how do we as a society decide what we put energy into? And as I'm reading this article, the basic premise is like, there's no leader that is stepping up that's going to like make this happen. Like, who is going to take leadership and control and take ownership and take responsibility and make this happen? And I'm thinking to myself, there must be a way that those with good intent that want to see something good happen can work together and leverage some of these different tech tools. It would not be out of the question to raise the money using Web3 tools. It would not be out of question to do so in a more modern and progressive way that allows the people that are philanthropic and feeling charitable and want to chip in their $2 or their $200,000 into the pie to make this thing happen, for them to have some sort of verification on what's going on and be able to track it and maybe be able to have benefit of some sort. Maybe when they chip in their X amount of dollars, they get a seat, or whatever type of thing is motivating. And I'm also thinking about AI. Like, how do you use AI to basically be the lead strategist on this? If the government wants one thing and the city wants another thing and the people want a different thing, like, how do you use these tools to solve this real world problem right here and now? What are your thoughts, Dan?
Well, it's a little bit out there, but I think that they, someone who is philanthropically set up to help create a DAO or fractionalize the rebuilding of the civic auditorium and create some type of tokenization to where it makes it affordable for the whole community to get in. Big plaque be made when it's all redone and set up that has everybody's name. You can have thousands of names on there, but it still is. That's another reason for every $5 donation that goes in. You get a 1,000 of them, or a 10,000, $5, or 100,000, it starts to grow like that. It really adds up and makes a dent. But more than that, the small donations actually bring the community together, because I know that I can be part of a $20 donation to help rebuild our civic center here, or and then also being put on the block or something to where it's a blockchain, that is, to where it's very transparent as to where the money is, how much money's there. You always see, like, you see it, if people remember a telethon or something where they have the monies that's being donated actually right there on the screen. It's flashing, it's continually growing. You can have a system that's operated to where anyone could go into that website and be the exact same thing. There's the dollars, here's how it's growing, here's where they came from, even the names of people who have donated, if you wanted to go in there and even see yourself and make yourself smile for doing that small donation. But that type of integration and that type of community involvement is something that should be looked at, at least maybe thought about and offered. I know we didn't do well on the digital wallets with the myscc.org when they were trying to do that with the permits and stuff for RV parking, but that doesn't mean it's a bad system where it's not going to work. It just means that the adoption's a little slower, and we need to have a different frame of reference or a different example that actually excites people's minds, and maybe something like this can spark that.
Yeah, I think plenty of people want to give to something that they like Like a lot of people here in Santa Cruz want the Civic Theater to be better. That's a pretty easy thing to assume. And so if someone has that thought of, yeah, but what if my money doesn't actually go to it? Like, can I actually trust that my money is going there? And that's why these blockchain technologies that we usually blanket term as Web3 is something that's so impactful and going to inevitably happen, because it lets you be able to just simply trust. You don't have to worry about them sneaking around or anything like that, because it's all right there. You can just go to the website that shows where everything is, all the transactions, and then you see what transactions happened. You can look at everything that happened from that wallet that you gave your money to, and then that makes it so you don't have to have that worry anymore. And so I imagine that, I don't know how fast these things will happen, because the technology being there doesn't always directly correlate with the adoption happening, because in some communities they don't really feel the motivator to push to actually make something happen. But I imagine that here in our community, we easily could make that happen. It's just a decision of, do we care about this happening? And if so, then let's start making it happen. I mean, even if you're my age, you can have just $5 that you give, and then you can actually see where that goes, which is kind of satisfying too.
I dig it. Well, we're
I
going
love
to go ahead, Ted. We're going to go to commercial break. Any final thoughts?
Oh, I just love this vision. I'd love to help make it happen. And it sounds so cool to restore this historical theater and really make it a civic auditorium that attracts the likes of these famous rock stars.
You just send your digital wallet over this way, Teddy. I'll tell you that right now. We'd donate for you.
But also, the community, a center for the community.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us here at Beachside Tech Talk, episode 41. We'll be back again in just a moment.
Thank you.
The primary secret I've learned in 25 years in co-founding 10 companies, I've been an entrepreneur in residence in 4 different organizations. I guest lecture at 5 universities, and I give that context so you understand, like, I'm about this. I'm an entrepreneur to the max. One of my secrets is to do extremely hard things, to seek challenges, and to seek discipline. So I've always had in mind that I wanted to do a 40-day water fast. And a lot of people think they can't survive a day without food. Or if you've kind of studied fasting, maybe you've done a 36-hour or a 3-day water fast. And for the last 26 years, I've been fasting off and on. I started off with day, and then 4 days, and then 7, and then 10s, and then 12. Today, I'm on day 17. I've had 0 calories in my body, no food, haven't had any smoothies, no juice, nothing, just water for 17 days. And I got 23 more days to go, and I am not counting down the days till I get to eat. See, I am enjoying the discipline. I am enjoying the suffering. See, that's what a real entrepreneur does. A real entrepreneur enjoys suffering. No, this is very important, because a lot of times people think, I want to quit my job, that sucks, and I want to do things on my own, that would be great. Well, my response is, a job has safety, it has health insurance, it has a consistent income, it has some place that you know where to go, you know how to succeed. That's not terrible. That's a grace that society provides jobs. Entrepreneurship is a constant battle of hurdles and suffering and difficulty, and the process of having to get yourself up and work long hours. Why? Not because someone's over you telling you have to, because you're so driven for the outcome. So I think there's something very powerful about the obsession with discipline, the obsession with chasing after really, really challenging goals. Now, for me right now, it's not eating food for 40 days, as that's been a desire I've had from 26 years. I look forward to the experience. It's been wonderful. And for everybody that's listening, you probably think to yourself, this guy sounds pretty articulate. He seems pretty sharp, like he has something to say. Well, I haven't had food for 17 days, so you'd be surprised what you can accomplish in your life, even when you don't have everything that you think that you need.
And maybe it's not food, maybe it's money, maybe it's a network, maybe it's the right idea, maybe it's the right technology, maybe it's the right environment, maybe it's being in the right, something you think, if I only have this, then I can. Well, I have no food for 17 days and I still will. And this is the thing I want to tell entrepreneurs. Seek discipline, seek suffering, seek challenges. This is the thing that unlocks everything in your dreams as you drive after whatever it is you're doing in entrepreneurship. Wow. Here I am in California. The Pacific Ocean is behind me. I feel blessed. And so since I feel so blessed in life, in business, and family, let me in turn bless you. I just declare that today is going to be an important day for you. I declare that your mind will be open, that you'll be able to understand the things that you're taught, that you will have vision for what could be, that you will have these downloads in your mind of new strategies, that the operating system of your brain will be shifted and be upgraded. These are the things that I declare over you. I declare peace and prosperity to your individual life, to your family, and to all that you touch.
Welcome back to Beachside Tech Talk, episode number 41. We're here at 1340 AM, KOMY, the home of Schoolhouse Radio. If there was a rapture, Ted was the only one taken. For those on the radio, you can't see what we can see. I can see Ted's screen, and he's disappeared. We're going to dive into the news of the day.
Saying it.
Web3's impact today upon community and philanthropy. Nigel, anything else? Anything you've seen on the news waves during the last week or even the last month that's impacting community and philanthropy? Anything you'd like to share with us?
Well, I don't think there's anything super specific that I want to talk about other than for Web3, as we're calling Web3, or just being digitally connected. I feel it still comes down in large part to how we connect with each other. And just the translation of that human connection to the actual digital, and not the digital creating the human impact, which might be some of the way we're looking at it, which in my opinion may stifle some of the adoption, if that makes sense. But that's where I'm at. So
What about Web3? Like, let's talk about it every once in a while, maybe where it's at, maybe what it is. Okay. Or let's see, what is Web3 actually being used for other than cryptocurrency? So I think that people can understand that's how cryptocurrencies are traded is through a Web3 platform. But other than that, so in other words, if people are not doing cryptocurrency, what else is being used for Web3, like de facto, that ordinary laypersons can identify with? Go ahead.
Well, I think when it comes to philanthropy and community, it's the ability that when we give, we can track where that giving went to. So for instance, like if you look at the old model, it was all based on trust. So Scott Harrison says, if you give money to Charity Water, 100% of that money goes directly to building wells. He says, because I raised all the money to run the organization separately from our board. So Scott says the board of Charity Water covers all the expenses of me, my staff, everything, administrative, operation, marketing, all of it. Every dime that comes in goes directly to building wells. Okay, so people believe Scott, right? Well, today with Web3 tools, Scott has the ability to prove all that in a public format. Another one will be Tom's shoes. If you bought Tom's shoes, you believed Tom, or Blake was his name, and you believe him that he's going to go through the process of giving a free pair of shoes to a needy person every time you buy a pair of shoes here in the developed nations. Now, again, it's a It's a trust thing. Like, I trust Blake. I love this brand, so I'm gonna do this thing. So now with Web3 tools, the same promise can be made, except for now there's the ability to track it on public ledger.
I was just
Can
saying,
I challenge that?
Yeah, just a second. I was just saying to the point of let's even get something more granular to the point of what are we using today that the masses are using for Web3 other than cryptocurrency. In my mind, the only thing that I can think of that everyone can understand is it's the chats, the AIs. That's Web3. The Web2 was the Google searches. The Web3 is the AI that everyone's using. That's what I'm trying to have people understand, or even us, and the visions of people using those tools is where we're going. But I think the point I was trying to get to is, like, for the rubber meet the road, base ground level, the Web2 is the Google searches we've been doing for 20 years, where you can finally interact, but all of that stuff that you're interacting with is owned by all of those companies that you are looking at, all the Facebooks, all of the Instagrams, YouTubes. So even your content is really theirs. They can depost you anytime. They can shut your account down anytime. And the Web3 is also transitioning to where we will own that content and moving that way. But I was just trying to get to the point of, we need more references just like that. A Google search to the chat AIs, and everybody's understanding, oh, okay, that I understand. It's a difference between a Google search and then putting it into an OpenAI. We need more references like that. What else do we use Web3 for? What else do we do like that? Not what are we going to do, or what, and that's why I was throwing out, get rid of the cryptocurrency, because that's the basis of the Web3 too. But we're getting there, and they're slowly happening. And I think that we're getting into the medical field is starting to really become a data source positioned entities, to where that is Web3 is going to happen sort of just like that. The difference between the Web2 and the Web3 that I just described, that enhanced, more granular, more personalized feel, much more. Everyone's really using AI now, chat instead of Google 2 searches. Most, if they have the tool to use, they'd much rather have it search it that way. And then also with the speak features that are there, I see people that are very isolated and introverted actually start to break shell, and actually be able to start creating themselves, never thinking that they were, locked in a room. What could I ever do in this world that's going to contribute, something wonderful? But even writing a poem and putting it into a Web3 atmosphere is going to change people's lives, and we're moving there right now.
Yeah, I think the real hill to climb with getting these things to happen is teaching people how to use it, because there is still the worry of, oh, what if I get scammed? Like, what if I give the wrong wallet or something like that? And so these philanthropic businesses or people who are giving to them aren't necessarily trusting it yet, because they aren't educated in how it works. And so the real problem is trying to find out how to tackle that. And so I kind of just want to ask you guys, how do you think we can get these people educated so that they can know how these things actually work?
I think it starts with questions. For all the talk that we have about you can track things online, how many companies did you know can actually, if confronted, directly go and show you on the blockchain where everything is done in a way that the average layperson could understand? Probably not as much as we think. And think about this to put it into context. You remember when the lottery used to say be audited by like Ernst & Young or auditing firms? I don't hear that anymore. So where is the auditing?
It's us.
Where is the proof?
We're going to be the ones who are going to do that, because we keep talking about it. Someone's going to be able to have enough software capacity to do an AI study. Someone's going to have a team of people who are using Grok super heavy. And they're gonna sit in there for a day, and they're gonna DARPA brainstorm something like that and say, hey, where is the money coming from? I don't think it can't be that hard. I mean, this is not a criminal enterprise that's trying to operate Gestapo style. So the receipts and the money transfers are there somewhere. Like keep saying, you know, I don't mean to pick on the super lottery or anything like that. It's just the closest thing that I know about that's been a gambling institution in my mind. That's, I don't want to say preying on poor people, but what it's a hope of that's, you know, very far-fetched. Someone does win, but, you know, you look at the odds and it's, you know, tens and hundreds of millions to one. And yeah, they start saying you're going to be more likely to be struck by lightning a couple times and you'll win. But that lottery's been around for about 30 years. And you're talking about $7 million a week. Just, you know, someone do 30 years, 52 times 30, and then 7 times that, and times 7 million. Wait a minute.
Right.
Billions and billions and I don't know, but I'm sorry, where did it go again? So things like that, oversight, these will build transparent systems that are going to be, I think it's citizens who need to do it. What do they call, you know, like
citizen arrest?
No, I always talk about that. We'll do that somewhere in the blockchain too. They're just they'll do that. So people who are naughty and talking bad, all the way from just making bad jokes to, you know, actually being nefarious for monetary gains, you're going to go in the you know in a digital hoosegow, and as sophisticated as you think you might be, the corrections facility for digital jail will still keep up with you, and you're just going to be ostracized and you know, constantly outed in your face, booted out, and you know, eventually so people will know, you know, this is how this IP, which is a person operating behind a computer, behind a, you know, an internet address, this is how they're operating. So they get X-nayed from all the good stuff.
Yeah. There's 2 articles. One was CoinDesk, Why Crypto Donations Are Surging. And a similar article was the Giving Block. It was their big annual report on crypto philanthropy. And so both these articles are basically saying the reason why crypto philanthropy is explosive is because it is fast. It is without fees or very minimal fees. There's very little middlemen, if any, involved in the process. It's all trackable. And so this just makes it easier. Every single moment, it's easier and easier and easier to donate crypto to whatever thing you're passionate about. When you talk about some sort of emergency relief, like there's a big hurricane, Erie or something of that nature. Ernie, I'm sorry,
something like that.
I don't watch the news enough to remember this.
Yeah,
but there's a big hurricane.
In the E's. Yeah, it's in the E's.
There's a big hurricane coming. I remember when the hurricane was Ian a while back, and I'd turn on the news and I'd hear you, F you, Ian. I'm like, uh-oh, the hurricane. It's not me. That was kind of weird. So hurricane's an
Hurricane
example.
Aaron.
So Nigel, your community got hit really hard in the last couple of years. Obviously, there were immediate needs, not needs that people wanted to wait a year for processing. They have immediate needs of shelter, food, somewhere safe to be, clothing, whatever it may be, medicine. And you know, and your neighbors know how important it was that people during that time had more than one way to give. It didn't all have to go through the federal government. It didn't all have to go through Red Cross. There were churches helping, there were individuals helping, there were businesses helping, and it wasn't all just based on one method of getting things donated. And there's lots of different options, and obviously crypto is one of them. Based on your personal experience with you and your neighbors going through that, is there anything that you want to share about just the impact today of speed that's brought because of the ability to transfer a value, you know, a thing that stores value, a Bitcoin or a USDC, from one person or organization over to those that are in need?
Wow. I like that.
Well, when you see that, when you see people able to move their money quickly, and you think about large sums and going to a bank during a crisis and being told you can't get your money out and there's a waiting period, how this becomes important. But even beyond the financial impact, which is important, but I think sometimes we spend too much time focused on that and not the overall value of Korean technology. I read a story where doctors coming to help during a crisis were credentialed in 2 hours versus 2 weeks because their credentials were on the blockchain and they could be proven. But that same philosophy or framework could be applied for people qualifying for aid. So there's a lot of different applications beyond just money. So getting stuck on the money part is really a limited or limiting factor.
For sure. Not only that, you're talking about moving large portions of money. There's really not a judicial system that's set up for bad structure, or we had the FTX thing that happened. That's something that was profit. That's something that was propagated, and we kind of got to see firsthand accounts of exactly what happened to someone who was pulling some type of a crypto scam situation. But that's where we're going to have I'm always a proponent of, we're hybrid. No matter how you want to look at it, we're going to slide into these things and work the bugs out as we see they come along. So, but the point I was trying to get to is there's really no policing system for moving large amounts of money. And even though it's done a lot, people buy huge. Michael Saylor and his company buys tons of Bitcoin, and they trust their system. But if someone was to hack into another individual's, or get a secret phrase word for a digital wallet, that you can wipe out their assets. So we're going to build into it. It's not going to happen tomorrow. As soon as we build the governance of trust and transparency, that's how it'll move along. So I just wanted to bring up that point of the adoption's not going to move any faster than the trust. And then if something does happen, the fact that there are recursive actions of corrections to make people feel like, if they do something wrong, if they do what they call in the Web3 world a rug pull or a scam or a illegal taking of someone's money, there is no 911 that you can pick up on the phone and say, hey, someone just stole my cryptocurrency.
Yeah, that's a really important part.
Can you send the sheriff over to my house? I want to make a police report about the team over in Dubai who's got all my coin right now, because I see it went from my wallet address over there into another nation that's one of 192.
Right.
So and their laws have nothing to do with our laws in the United States, and so here we go with a huge thing. So there's lots more to talk about and work out as we go through this. But the adoption that's been there, that's there now, millions of wallets, millions of transactions, and that's what's going to move it. Is that trust value to, you're going to deal with anyone going to set up a wallet? It's a recommendation. Don't let someone set up a wallet with you or for you unless you know them. That's my suggestion. I knew the person who helped me set up a digital wallet, and I'm glad that I did, because like I said, there was a secret recovery phrase. This is not a thing where you have a banking account attendant or someone that you can call a 1-800 number and say, hey, how much money's in my account again? And they say, well, yeah, what's your, here? Oh, I see your bank account number is such and such and such and such. No, this is where we have passed over the threshold, and we want to our ownership. You got it. You own your own stuff. You're responsible for it. You need to figure out a way by building communities, or by talking with other peers who are just, who are like-minded, who are righteous, who are moving in positive ways and not moving in scam or nefarious ways. And then you build walls as you need to. Ergo, maybe another word for the day is going to be cold storage, a cold ledger, and we'll just leave it at that.
This is where the community part really comes into play, because on one hand you have, you get to own everything, but then you have the risk that you're talking about, Dan, where it's like, now you don't have a attendant who can help you whenever you face an issue with this. And that's the thing. It's like, you get ownership, but if you don't want ownership, then they're gonna, we want our cut if we're going to help you. And so that's where the community really comes into play, because now instead of you having to give your money or whatever it is to some big bank corporation that you don't care about at all. Now you can be able to have your community that you choose yourself, and you're able to own everything yourself. And so it's not like it's impossible to be able to have people to talk to when you face problems. If you look online, you'll find plenty of people who are willing to help or who have just posted things to help. The real problem is trying to make sure that we find a way to get into these communities, to know that we can trust them, and to get this whole infrastructure set up.
So let's talk a bit about when communities come together to donate to things that are community oriented. So I'll give you an example. Capitola, the city of Capitola, right here. If you walk down the Capitola Village and you look down, you'll see bricks with people's names on them.
Mhm.
If you walk up and down the wharf, you'll see these bronze plaques with people's names on them.
If you walk the west side, you'll see all of the benches.
Yeah, all the benches.
The West Cliff, all of the benches have a plaque inside the new builds.
Yeah.
The new build that's been done, and it's honored and dedicated to those who have come together in community with philanthropy.
So that's been done in many different ways for communities. Obviously, faith communities have done the same thing, right? Universities, higher education universities have done the same thing. This building is named after this family because this family did a $10 million or $100 million trust endowment, right? So what do you guys think about the way that people are acknowledged, their legacy is acknowledged over time? And how are you imagining the technology, not as it will be, but as it is today, being able to help with that? So I'll give you one more example just to spark this conversation. If you look in our local town, there's the story of two churches. So one story is Twin Lakes Church. Been around a long time. It's thriving. They had something like 10,000 people go to their services during Christmas time. And so they're a bustling, thriving community. They're connected with Second Harvest Food Bank, doing a lot to feed people. And they do a lot of good in the community. And obviously people find value in gathering for an hour and 15 minutes at one of their 3 services. So that's the story of one community. And you walk around there and you don't see a lot of acknowledgement for people. Buildings aren't called after people's names. I mean, it kind of follows that methodology of Jesus, where Jesus, I wasn't there, but supposedly he said, don't let your right hand know what your left hand gives. When you are charitable, when you are generous, do so in secret. And so that is a different thing. The other story is about the church that closed down and became the Fairfield, right? It was down to 10, 15 people. Nobody went there, got torn down. Whoever invested in that church, whoever put their energy, time, blood, sweat, tears, and money into it, it doesn't matter. It's now owned by independent hotel. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So there's these different community projects that kind of lose their traction. Maybe we'll dive into that a bit more when we come back from our break and we talk a bit about AI news. How can AI help with some of these things as the technology is built today? For all those that are joining us right now here at 1340 AM KOMY, thank you for being with us. We'll be right back in just a moment. All right, Internet. I'm going to play something for you that kind of ties into this. Let's see, about 2.5 years ago, I got invited to go out to Texas with all of the largest institutions that were using AI for making new languages. Their goal was to new languages so that they could basically create the Bible in new languages. That was kind of their rhythms. So this is called the Missional AI Summit. A lot of the big heavy hitters in AI came out to try to talk to these organizations. They're all very well funded, and they asked me to share for a bit. And so I'm going to share what I did there because it's all about community. It's all about philanthropy, and it seems on topic. And I still think 2.5 years later, the things I'd shared are still relevant today. Hope you enjoy it. Be back again in just a moment. I have a dollar bill in my hand. If you want $1, stand up. Have you won $1? You want $1? Hey, why not? We got a couple standers.
Okay, there we go. How about, here's a $100 bill. Does anybody want a $100 bill? Is that really it? Some people are still sitting, you don't want a $100 bill? That's surprising. Isn't it amazing how much we value this? Is there a single mom in the room? Any chance there's a single mom? Is there a single dad? Yes, here you come take this. So, isn't it amazing how much we value things? And how these two things, $1 and $100, we value so much differently. Well, may you and your children be blessed. So, how about if I said, if you want me to bless you, stand up? Would you value that? Do you value a blessing the way you'd value $1 or $100? How do we value things? I think it's super important for us to think about. Now, the topic of my conversation is AI, accountability, and accessibility. Now, I've been thinking about this for a long time. I'm on my 7th company. It's called Attention Live. And we've done the beginnings of implementing what we believe is the future of accountability with machine learning and all things artificial intelligence and accessibility. Now, for us, we believe accessibility is a voice interface. That's kind of our thought. So if AI is accessible for people to talk to it and AI talks back to people and that's the interface, that makes it accessible. Therefore, it's not just the computer scientists that have ability to engage with AI. And we see some of these positive elements happening with Siri and Alexa. The problem is that it's not a great experience, and so maybe it's more damage than good, especially when we project out how all applications should have a very seamless voice interface. You should basically just still talk to your device and just does what you'd like it to do in whatever language you have, in whatever, not just dialect, but whatever it's called when you have the the slur, the southern accent, that's it. So, how about accountability? Should AI be accountable to itself? Should AI be accountable to trillion-dollar market cap tech corporations? Should AI be accountable to humans? I would propose that AI should be accountable to distributed ledger technology. That's my proposal. Now, this may start with coding smart contracts and Solidity on the Ethereum blockchain or some other alternative blockchain and having those smart contracts be protocols that tell the AI what it can and cannot do. But we need to be thinking about how to structure our tech development so that AI is not accountable to itself, accountable to a trillion-dollar market cap corporation, accountable to one or multiple human beings, but can be accountable to different protocols we've set up through smart contracts that will make sure it does what it should do and does not do what it should not do. Now, many of you are going to say, well, accessibility matters most. That's the thing. Like, AI has to be accessible. And then others are going to say, I care about the accountability. We got to make sure that AI doesn't go out of control and launch rockets and hurt humans. I just think it can be both. I think it can be both. Super simple. What's the first step for you? I would say a first step is whatever application you're about to build, like the next one that's going to roll out in 2023, what more can you do to have a better voice interface for that application than you were going to do? That's a first step. You don't have to go back to the app you launched this year or 3 years ago and try to add this or add that to it. What can you do that's on the roadmap? Can you add a better voice interface? Can you add other languages? Can you make sure that different accents are being heard? Can you make sure that there's different accessibility? Can you make sure that there's call words? Can you add a Siri shortcut, even though you can't build out a custom conversational AI app for Siri? Can you at least add a shortcut so it still can pull up and then make sure your app works? What can you and your team do for accessibility in the future?
The other thing is the accountability factor. You got to take a step somewhere in the right direction. Are you doing anything with the blockchain? Are you doing anything with the Ethereum blockchain or any other layer 1 blockchains? There's so many of them now. And all of them are just distributed servers around the world that can never be eliminated or removed. If you don't understand the system, it's just a new ledger. It's very simple. Like back in the day, you used to take ink and write on a piece of paper, and 2 people signed it, and then the big thing was when there was 2 copies. A monk thought of that. A monk said there should be 2 copies for a contract. So that was a new ledger, right? The very first ledger was like God's finger in the stone. So then we got to writing with a typewriter. And then we got to computers with servers in our house. And now cloud servers, the AWS, the GCS, the Azures. And now we're transitioning slowly but surely, first DeFi and then supply chain management and then other things, to distributed ledger technology. What can you do with your development moving forward to figure out how to leverage machine learning tied to some form of smart contracts that will hold that accountable? The people I'm most thoughtful of are not you in this room. Like at our company, we have like an immediate goal. Our immediate goal is to automate wealth creation for podcasters and their communities. That's a pretty ambitious goal. If we can automate the ability for podcasters to make money and for their communities to financially benefit, yay. And like our big public mission might be to build the most important communication tool in the world for all creators and those that follow and listen and watch what they do. But my private vision is about the 3 billion people in the world that don't yet have the internet. You know those 3 billion people? They make less than $2 a day? Those ones. We actually talk about those people more often than most of our peers because we are very thoughtful of this demographic and the need to get the sacred scriptures to them in a way that they can access it. But soon, they will have some form of connection. Now, they probably won't have a one wheel. They may not have like cool chrome glasses. And maybe they don't have like a nice watch. They probably don't have shoes. Are you thinking about these people? Are you mindful of these people? It's what I'm thoughtful of. How do we create applications with AI and machine learning that will help these 3 billion humans once they're given a cheap ring that has a voice interface that's connected to a Starlink satellite of some sort? Are we building our applications so they can talk to it, so they can hear it? Are we building our applications so that our applications are automated through distributed ledger technology and accountable through distributed ledger technology? I think that's super, super important. It's what I'm really focused on. My message to you today is to take one step forward that you weren't going to take. Take the risk and go talk to the board. Take the risk. Put yourself out there, no matter what it costs, because there's 3 billion humans in the world that are about to get the internet, and they need what we have to offer, and we need to have a conversational AI interface for them, and we need to make sure that what we're providing them is thoughtful for the long run. That's what I came to share with you.
Welcome back to Beachside Tech Talk. Here we are, the top of the hour. We're going to transition to AI's impact today and what's happening regarding community and philanthropy. We're here at 1340 AM KOMY, home of Schoolhouse Radio. School's about to start. Our school for 2 of our boys starts this Wednesday. You already started school, Malachi. So school's about to start. I imagine that there's going to be lots of positive changes and updates happening. Here at the radio station, we're very proud to be a part of it. So want to jump in and ask you guys anything that you've seen recently on major news updates around AI, specifically anything that you've seen that is,
tailored toward community and philanthropy. Any stories stand out, gentlemen? I know we're always seeing things constantly. We're using things constantly.
I think I want to talk more, kind of just open up the conversation of talking about how AI can impact the entire medical field and what it can do to change it from being the kind of preventing symptoms instead of preventing illness. How do we see this actually making the medical field useful?
That's a good point. And we have a medical environment in America that, tries to give a pill to take care of a symptom. And, the financially profitable way to do that is to sell a pill, or ideally find a client you can sell half a dozen or dozens of pills to every single day. They got to take them for the rest of their life. So there is a brokenness to the system of how we deal with health in this world, and that's one perspective. And of course, I'm a bit ignorant. I'm not in a hospital. I don't know what's going on, but I have found myself quite intrigued by the things that RFK Jr. Was saying before he even ran for president, certainly during his run. And now that he's in charge of, the health of our country, that's his current role today. I've been, compelled by some of the things that he has been working on. And, how is AI being used to ensure that we can have a healthier population? Most everyone that is doing anything around health from a massive scale or from just an individual scale, right? There's all these people they call themselves biohackers. And all these folks are basically learning from each other by leveraging AI. So Malachi brought this idea up. Everything around health is, if people live longer, they can give more. If they live longer, they can be part of community. If they live longer, then they get to bring their wisdom, maybe for decades longer than they would have otherwise. So what's your guys' thoughts on the impact? Love to hear what's on your mind.
Mhm.
There's an interesting thing that happened over this weekend that I want to mention. I believe Dan and Nigel, you guys are familiar with Alex. I believe his last name is pronounced Hormozi. So Alex just broke the Guinness Book World Record. He sold the most books in it was a 5-hour period. It was a 24-hour sales period. $75 million, I believe, is the number in books sold. So the reason I want to bring this up is Alex has been studying the Tony Robbins and the Deans and the Pierre Diamantises and the Tai Lopez's of the world. And so what Alex has been able to do, he's obviously a smart guy, great at building community, great at getting people to do something as extreme as buy 800 books and then give them away. That's part of how he sold $75 million of books. The big thing he was trying to encourage his community to do is buy 800 books and keep one and give 799 away. So obviously he's trying to get his community to use his book as the thing that they're being philanthropic with. And there's something for them if they were to do so. So I wanted to bring. Yeah, did you watch the thing?
He's pretty brilliant. He's a brilliant new age, coach. He's definitely on fire with social media, and he found a niche with his gyms, and was able to build an acquisition company that he now runs from the sales of the franchising of gym sales, and expanded into all kinds of nutrients and supplements and business plans and how to set up gyms. And so he did very well. But the crazy thing that I noticed on his, what would you call it? So
Funnel.
Webinar, I guess that he did was it was just like the other things I did at Tony Robbins in the 80s when he was 20-something years old at the DoubleTree in San Jose, and he wasn't Tony Robbins. He was still a young guy talking about how he was living in a 1-bedroom apartment, and
right.
He's doing building momentum with character.
Right.
But it was give the idea of framing it in a different essence. So he had a target. He had a target of people that he's trying to hit, and it was, in my opinion, was entrepreneurs. There was no free book or anything that you were going to get, even that $100 million business model or anything like that. He wanted his people to buy the book for $6,000, and then you get 200 of the one type of book, the one type of model, and that to be given out to whoever that business entrepreneur would feel that they do, like maybe his teams or something like that. But it was weird that he was able to do that, and I didn't find. Nigel, you can correct me on this one. Chime in here in a minute. How was he able to sell those millions of books?
What is the book exactly?
It's $100 million business model.
It's called Money Models.
Yeah, and they're new technical ways of doing business models instead of the old funneling that even we still operate on today. They've created a business wheel. That's not a funnel where it tightens up and you funnel in from a large area down into one particular silo or siphon and then section those off. It's become a wheel that spins, and there is no stop or lock points, and everything integrates itself into another one, fed on off of it piggybacks off of the last whatever the model is.
So Nigel, I'm gonna jump in and say one more thing, then hand it off to you, because I think you and Dan have the most awareness of Alex. So let me just mention something that kind of brings us back to AI news of the day and how this all ties into building a community and spurring on philanthropy. In this case, his philanthropic push toward his community was buy my book and give it away, which obviously is a very compelling thing to do.
Yeah,
so if you put in a prompt, something like this, break down this entire success that Alex just had with his Money Models launch, break it down like a monetization architect, identify each revenue layer, incentive stack, and conversion driver across the funnel. So here's what you'll find. What Alex did was he basically has modified what has worked in the past. He obviously used AI and A and B modeling. So he tried this thing, it worked, and he tried that thing, it worked worse. Okay, go back to, and so he finally got it down to where he did this. And here's what he did to sell $75 million in books in 5 hours. He did a free live stream to build intent. Anybody could go. He had a scarcity-driven VIP upgrade for $30. There's only so many seats. Only so many people can come to the VIP thing. You got to sign up right now. Then he had a core 200 copy offer. It was $6,000, and it would unlock all sorts of different things. Private $35,000 workshop, 12 physical playbooks, an AI trained on $28 million of internal consulting, 200 book redemptions for your team, for your audience, and the full launch black book, ads, emails, scripts, etc. So it was really not about a framework. It was more about a funnel. What Alex did was he built this massive funnel. His conversion rates were not higher than normal, which that means that Ty Lopez, Dean, Tony Robbins, and all the rest that do things like this, they all have a very similar conversion rate, right? It's like 10% to 25%. It wasn't like he closed 80% of the people in his group. He just had an insanely massive funnel. He had a massive community that was intrigued to come check out his live stream. And then when he put the hook out, like, hey, there's only so many spots for the VIP thing, a lot of people jumped in, and that kind of led them down the path. So I'll hand it off to you, Nigel, since you may have more awareness around this than others. And I'd love to hear your thought on how has Alex built his community, leveraged his community for this experience. How do you think he's used AI to do this? What do you think about the fact that he's tried to basically get his community to be philanthropic people and charitable, generous people using his book as the means of charity? Take it away, my friend.
It's a there's a how much did you take from it that was pretty good? I found probably a good 20 minutes, maybe half an hour. That was worth worth taking notes. But it was a lot of filler in, and he had to set up, he had the 2 hour framework. I watched half on, half off, and then when you could tell that something was actually moving and shaking when the screen started changing, so he's moved on to another subject. So I'd pop in, but there was definitely some business model stuff that it works for him for sure, and it's worked for other people too. So yeah, I thought it was super interesting. He's pretty sharp.
Yeah, all these guys that do this stuff are pretty sharp. For me, I've never done these types of digital events where you're trying to upsell. because I've never found it to be something that I engage with.
Did you do Robbins? You've seen Robbins.
Yeah, I've participated. I've never done it. I've never
Or
like
Dean Graziano or
Sure.
whatever.
I have the personality where I could do that, right? I could fill up a live stream and I could do a $30 upsell and then try to sell some books. Like, it's a model that works. AI has helped humans perfect that model. And it's something that I would have been able to be effective in if I wanted to. Up to this point, I have not found it to be, for me, the end result kind of feels like multi-level marketing. People get super excited about it. It's like, oh, this is so great. I'm going to buy Amway's products. I'm going to sell them to my friends. I'm going to recruit some distributors. I'm going to buy this oils, and it's going to help everybody get rid of their cancer. I'm going to buy this phone card, and this phone card I get paid. Like whatever thing you got spun on to join the multi-level marketing got you in, and then it comes down to actually doing the hard work of recruiting people to stick out and actually be distributors and not quit. Unfortunately, like 99% of people quit multi-level marketing. And so you have a massive number of people that walk away from it. It's direct marketing. All it is you recruiting distributors. You got recruited by another distributor, and you get a percentage off everybody that you recruit that sell products, just as you are creating a revenue stream for your what's called an upline or downline. Now, the thing about these types of things that Alex does is he's the only one that's really benefiting outside of his affiliates. But what happens is like 99% of the people that put the money in to buy the books or buy 200 books and give them away, like they have a very hard time following through to the finish line. So therefore, a lot of people will walk away from an experience like this being like, I can't believe I just did that. I just spent $30 or $3,000 doing this VIP upgrade or buying all these books, and I can't. And so this is an issue where, for me, for the first time ever, I'm finding this whole way of doing digital events intriguing, because it does feel like the funnels and the frameworks have gotten better and better and better because of AI. Therefore, it does feel possible to go through the process of doing something like Alex has done for different communities, to build their community, to spur on philanthropy, to spur on a rising tide raising all ships. It does feel more achievable today to do so with integrity than ever before. So that is interesting. So I'm in the middle of conversations around this right now. Go ahead, Ted.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like something that Innovate could tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Ted, I want to put this entire situation on your shoulders. I'd like you to basically manhandle this for all of humanity. You can start with California. So you and Innovate, we unite you. We unite you to handle this problem. Go for it. Philanthropy says you're the bigger problem, by the way.
Crushing it, dude. Look at their university.
Yeah.
And their hospital.
Nigel, any final thoughts before we go to break? We'll be back right in a moment. All right. Well, everyone on the internet, I'm going to share something with you. This was my time in Saudi Arabia. I got just enough time to show it. It's a little 2-minute video. Many people have never been there. You might find it intriguing, and it's my way of expanding my network out into that part of the Middle East. Hello, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that. We're going to go live again in about 15 seconds. And that was a trip. I was living in Dubai last year in April. We were there for like 5 weeks. And while we were there, I popped over to Saudi for my friend's event called Outer Edge. And that was just kind of the day on the road. I don't think I ever shared that. So I just found it. And I thought, oh, it might be something fun to share with the folks that watch us online. Okay, here we go for our last segment. Welcome back to Beachside Tech Talk, episode 41. My name is Ian Utile. I'm here with Ted from the Silicon Valley, Nigel from the East Coast. I got my brother Dan, my son Malachi here in the studio with me. The studio is always vibing when we're here. We got Kristen producing our show here at 1340 a.m., home of Schoolhouse Radio. Got my wife Riza, our son Nathan here, and there's others buzzing around making things happen. And we're very grateful to be part of local community radio here.
It's awesome to get to be here
in Santa Cruz County, and we reach a lot of homes. There's a lot of people that are within earshot of our station. This station was built in 1947. It's often said, if you want to know what's going to happen in the future, look back to the past. So this is our segment where we try to look forward to the future and think to ourselves, what is possible moving forward? What's possible next year? What's possible this decade? Go ahead, son.
So Ted, I wanted to ask you, because you are very in tune with all of the things happening philanthropically, and just with your Innovate podcast, you know a lot about this type of sector. And so I want to ask you, what is your personal idea for how we can solve homelessness?
Well, one, you have to acknowledge that it's a very, very complex issue.
Of course.
But the intervention I see that is most promising, well, beyond promising, is showing results. What you have to focus on prevention. Prevention is far cheaper than, well, prevention is cheaper than just maintaining status quo. So you have to understand that homelessness, as it is very expensive. Not getting people off the streets, not sheltering them, just paying for the services of people camping on the streets. Nationwide, it's like 60, I've heard different figures, $60,000 or $80,000 a year per homeless person. That's just services. Emergency room and police service are the primary two things. That's subsidizing the issue as it is. That's not getting them off the streets. The study that's most encouraging that I've seen just came out of San Francisco, and it shows the connection between access to justice in civil law and homelessness. So our friend Adrian Tirtonati leads Open Door Legal. They're pioneering our nation's first universal access to legal aid for civil law for the poor. They had a study that they commissioned with PhDs and economists and, got into the statistics, the math, that demonstrated between 2013 and 2023 in the Bayview Hunters Point district, which is where they launched, and they have been serving that community for a decade. Now they serve more of the city, but that's where they started. And over the 10 years, their intervention, which basically mean if you're poor and you need access to a lawyer for a civil law issue, they will give it to you. Their intervention was causal in reducing homelessness by 49% over that 10-year period in the Bayview Hunters Point. That's when across the nation and across the city, in every comparable demographic city, homelessness went up. And the study demonstrated that they caused that reduction. And then you project forward, if we provided universal access to legal aid to everyone in San Francisco, these mathematical models predict a 40% reduction in homelessness. That their intervention, basically it's $7,000 to prevent one person from being homeless, which is a small fraction of any other service you compare it to. So the cost would save the city at a minimum 10x in services they're already providing. The cost to roll that out citywide is just $4 million a year. Well, to increase it, you basically have to double their annual budget. So the increase over 4 years is $16 million. it would save the city at least $160 million. That's the most promising intervention to solve homelessness. That does not completely solve it, but boy, that's the first study of its kind, certainly the first in San Francisco. It's probably the best policy study on homelessness that's out there right now, that has a dollar rate and a prevention that can be rolled out and expanded, and is actually mathematically predicting a reduction in homelessness. As it is right now, like in San Francisco, for every one person we're able to get off the streets, 3 more get into the condition of homelessness. So until you focus on prevention, mathematically, you're never going to solve the problem.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the first step, is shifting our paradigm in the US, changing our system to provide universal access to legal aid for the poor.
So to focus on the future, Ted, let's say that a generation from now, homelessness is all but eradicated. We have homelessness museums. How do you envision these tools, AI and Web3, providing infrastructure to those that are now off the streets? They now have a home. Maybe they've been educated. Maybe they have some source of financial stability. So what are you guys thinking happens in terms of how does AI help people that have a life transformation? How does Web3 help people that have a life transformation? You know, we don't know exactly how to solve the problem. Most likely, in my opinion, AI will help us solve these problems. They will basically say, based on everything that a human brain can't figure it out, we've looked at everything. We've looked at all the resources, all the things available, all the things that have been agreed upon, and this is the path forward. It's like, oh gosh, we never could have thought of that. That's the path forward. So let's just say that we don't know how to get there. But what do we think the impact will be of these technologies after we've accomplished the goal?
You want me to try to answer that?
Any of you?
I want to preface it that I don't see myself as an expert in that area. In fact, if anything, I'd say of the people around this, Ian keeps his brain there most of the time. I'm more focused on how do we get there and how do we leverage those tools to get us there. Once we're going to be there, it's going to keep us there. You know, it's going to connect us to have community. It's going to allow us as society to make the best decisions of how we allocate resources to fulfill what I believe is one of the fundamental mandates for why we have a government, to help the least of these, those who are falling through the cracks, not in a way that actually makes sense. That's not right or left according to the current political dogmas, but is just, we've all agreed that we should help the poor. We all agree that the vulnerable should not be exploited. How do we allocate resources to get the best results? And I think in the future, AI will allow us to have conversations that will completely change the political divide. We're not going to talk about things the way we are currently. We're going to have much more productive conversations. It will allow us to go from a polarized environment where basically we either identify as a Democratic American or a Republican American. That's kind of what I see there. We've lost the underlying identity that I'm an American. I identify as that, and I'm a partner with someone, and I have a connection, a shared identity with someone. They may be across the political political aisle, but I have this deep shared identity that makes the political differences manifest in a different context. I think AI can help us get there, build this common ground, and strengthen our identity as Americans and restore this whole hope of and this pride of what it means to be an American. Then we can have the fervent, butting heads political dialogues so that we come to the truth But we're a team that's playing a game, and our final victory isn't power, but is making our nation greater and to fulfill our destiny.
What do you think, Nigel?
I think what happens is about how we get there.
Mhm.
Because you can just police all the homeless people off the street and there's no homelessness. At least you're not seeing them. You know, Ted, to your point of we agree on a lot of things, but those agreements we're not executing it on, I don't believe. And I don't think I'm being unfair. I mean, I reserve the right to be wrong, but I think we can agree that there's no value in preying on the poor or the vulnerable or the elderly. But I don't see people lining up for legislation to make sure that doesn't happen. You can't rob a post office without there being significant consequences. Can't beat up a bus driver without there being significant consequences. So where's that? And I mean, I'm not picking on anybody, but there's tons of smart people. And I'm not seeing the use of, well, let me take that back. I'm optimistic about AI highlighting and shining a light on these opportunities for us to do better universally. And I mean each and every one of us, because we can. Because the status quo is just not it. Even if you're doing good with AI, you should be able to do better. We can't be digging the same amount of holes with a shovel as with a caterpillar and calling that progress. So that's where I'm at.
So I've gained and lost a lot of weight in my life. So let me bring it to this, because I think there's sometimes confusion on how we solve a problem and how we keep that problem from happening again. Okay. So I've made the joke, I'm like Oprah. She's the only person that's ever gained and lost more weight than me. It feels like in an average year, I will gain 20 pounds, lose 15, gain 10, lose 30. And that's like 1 year. It's just crazy how much I go up and down the scale. And I've done a lot of internal, work on why am I prone to eat too much, not exercise enough, etc. And when I'm on it and I'm really disciplined, then I get lean and, it's wonderful. I love it. And when I let loose a little bit, it just kind of snowballs out of control. I believe that homelessness, when we solve it as society, would easily slip back into the old patterns because that's what we're used to as a society. So therefore, this is why I asked Ted the question. Ted, we don't know exactly how we're going to solve homelessness. That's like an obese person becoming a fit Olympic athlete. We don't know exactly how that's going to happen. But how do we imagine these tools, the AI tools, the Web3 tools, being used as infrastructure? So, Ted, you wrote in our private chat, we have ideals, but we don't walk them out. I think you're talking about yourself. How can technology help us live out our ideals? Okay, so this, again, like when I did my 40-day water fast, obviously that's proof that I have the willpower to choose to make decisions where I don't have to eat whatever I want. I cannot eat for 40 days. So that's not an issue of willpower. I used AI during that time. I used AI to be like an assistant through that process. There are Web3 tools where I can get paid to walk. So as I'm exercising, I can basically be a part of this community. So there's all sorts of things that I could leverage. But unless I continue to use the tools, unless I continue to use my Apple Watch to track my heart rate and track how much activity I'm doing, unless I continue to go to the gym, continue to eat the proper way, then I'm likely not going to continue to stay as lean as I had gotten, and I'll likely go back to old habits. And so this is the same thing for when we solve massive problems in society. When we solve massive societal problems, we need to be thinking not about how to get the problem solved. That's actually not as challenging as how to keep the problem solved. And this is why I wanted to have the conversation with all of you in terms of once we have solved major issues in society, Ted's mentioned the idea of homeless museums, museum of the incarcerated. I've talked about this being the year when boredom falls off a cliff and school becomes exciting for the first time again for both teachers and students. We've talked about a world without scarcity, a world of abundance, both energy abundance, food abundance, housing abundance, transportation abundance, education abundance, all those different elements. So it's one thing to get to the promised land of this big, massive driving vision, right? Like a person that's overweight and wants to run an Ironman. The vision is, I want to run an Ironman. How do I get there? Well, I got to eat a lot less food, do a lot more exercise for a really, really, really long time, practice, train, and then eventually I'll be able to do it. But then once you get there, how do you keep that Ironman physique? How do you keep that Ironman health, both externally and internally? And that is where I feel like we have a real opportunity as humanity leveraging these tools, which is why I come back to the same question I just asked Ted, which is, and it goes to any of you, when society solves major problems, how do we leverage these technologies to give us the best possible chance at maintaining the positive things that happen? And in this regard, we're talking community and philanthropy. Go ahead, Malachi.
I think everything in this conversation is completely going to be based off of your motivations. To go off the example that you're saying about someone who's overweight, but they want to run an Ironman, yeah, you probably in that moment know that you're physically able to get yourself into shape to do that. You're human. You've seen other people do it. You know that you're able to. Like for me, I know that I've seen you have an insane willpower, even just recently in your 40-day fast. And so I know that I'm also able to have an insane willpower. You're my dad. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm immediately going to do it because I'm a human. And so I tell myself that it's okay to doubt. I tell myself that, And so the problem is finding out, how do I tell myself, no, the motivator is there and you should believe that this is fully possible. And so when someone, say the world immediately just a snap happens and everybody who is homeless just all of a sudden gets up and does whatever roadmap people have been put in place for them. Then you have a bunch of people.
Like good Thor.
That'd be a cool idea.
Good Thor. He snaps his fingers and all homelessness, all incarceration, all hunger is eradicated. Why couldn't Thor be cool like that? Not Thor. What was his name? The bad guy. I called him Thor. It was Thanos. Anyways, keep going, Sam.
Well, what I'm trying to get to is that if everybody just stops being homeless, then now you have a bunch of people who are like, oh, well, it was so much easier in the moment, temporarily, to just go and be homeless because I don't want to go to work. I don't want to have to do this. I don't want to have to do that. And that makes perfect sense. It's sometimes much harder than to just go and stay on the streets because a bench is there. But the thing is, when you realize that the motivator is actually much more impactful to you and much more motivating, to just decide, okay, no, I want to be strong and I'm not going to be homeless because I see the long-term benefits instead of the short-term. Once we shift our perspective from short-term to long-term, a lot of the problems in the world just start to fade away. And I think that is really the bigger issue than trying to get a technology to solve it, because you're always going to have technologies that come and make certain things easier, certain things are going to change. But the real problem is that how do we shift the culture to see long-term as more of an important thing than to see short-term?
Any other thoughts?
I love what he's saying.
Before we wrap up.
It's, how you define the problem determines what you solve. So back to Ian's example, I think you're great at losing weight short-term. I think you've proven that, but I think you need to redefine your personal problem. How do I stay healthy and lose weight and maintain a healthy weight? So again, back to the homeless issue. If our desire is just to get these people that are bothering us on the streets off so our streets are clean, then we're only going to solve a temporary problem. We're not really going to the root issue. And I would say, to frame it in the positive, we want to create a human flourishing for everyone. Mm-hmm. That's the problem we're trying to solve. The negative thing is this whole interrelated systemic poverty, both emotional, physical, material, and even spiritual. We want to eliminate systemic poverty and create a system of systemic abundance for everyone. That's the problem we need to solve.
Nigel, we got 30 seconds or so. Any final words for you for our audience when we come back tomorrow?
Yes, solutions without sustainability are just patches.
Ooh.
So we have to be careful of those definitions.
I agree. Well, friends, it's always good to sit down with the four of you and spend time talking these things out. Nice we have the time to do so, spread our wings with our 2-hour slot. We'll be back again tomorrow, noon, here at 1340 AM, KOMY, home of Schoolhouse Radio with Beachside Tech Talk, episode number 42, coming at you hot on Tuesday. See you then.